Okay, we started. Okay, so as I said, today we are going to recap what we did last week, talk about the working environment and the basic tools that we handled, the first four. Then we'll add on the text tool. And if you have any questions from your practice during the week, you can ask while we are going through. Yeah. And if you also tried your hands on the exercise, you can show me what you've done. Yeah. Okay. So last week, as I said, when you start the tool or the software, you get the welcome screen, which sort of launches you into the working environment. So from here, you can see most of the tools that you would be using, except that most of them are disabled. You can't really do anything with them. And on the left-hand side, we have the toolbox. But as you can see, they're all disabled, and you can actually add more tools to the toolbox using the plus button here. Yeah. And I remember mentioning also that you start with a new document. So you click that, and it allows you to specify document dimensions, the document size, and all of that. You can also create from a template, but we did not go through that. That is, would handle that later on at an advanced stage. And also it shows the recent or the few most recent documents that have been opened or have been worked on within the tool. And the last option here is the normal file opening dialog box that you get. So we're going to start off with a new document, and as I did last week, or as with last week, we're going to have 400 pixels by 400 pixels, and yeah, we leave everything else as it is and say okay. And we talked about the pick tool, and we said the pick tool is used to select or pick objects. If you want to move an object from one place to the other, use the pick tool. If you want to just do something to an object, or some of the things you want to do to an object, for example, align it or transform it, that's move it about or rotate it or stretch it, increase the size, decrease the size, you often start off with the pick tool. You click it, and then you apply whatever you want to apply to it. Then we talked about the shape tools. We talked about the rectangle tool, and we said there are several ways of using this tool. One of the easiest ways is simply to double click it, and it creates a rectangle that is equal to the size of your workspace or the worksheet. Then from here you can resize it by grabbing the corners or the nodes in the corners, and that would help us resize the rectangle. When we press the Control key while resizing, we get we press the Shift key while resizing, we get an object that is centered to its current location. So it sort of expands or reduces around the center of the current object. Now, another way of creating a rectangle is simply to click and drag. And when we do this, we can create either a rectangle or a square if we want. But to ensure we have a perfect square, it's advisable to press the Control key while we click and drag. Then we have a perfect square. And again, if we want our square to be centered from the starting point of the cursor, then we press Shift and we click and drag. And when we combine, so that will give us a rectangle or a square around the starting point. When we combine Shift with Control, it gives us a square that is centered around the starting point. And you can see at this point, the mouse cursor could actually move up or down, left or right, and it wouldn't affect much. It will only change the size, but it doesn't affect the location. So that's the square tool. And we mentioned also that after having drawn the square, we could, for example, change the corners. We could make the corners rounded, or we could sort of chop off part of the corner, if that's the right word to use. And those options. Okay, so yeah, and we said we could change the corners, how the corners look, by making them round or squared, or I don't know what to call that, but yeah, they say what's scalloped. Yeah, scalloped corner. And we do that simply by clicking the type of corner we want and typing in the extent to which we want that corner to be affected. And here, because the padlock icon, which allows us to edit all the corners together by just specifying the dimensions for one. Yeah, so once it's selected, I just specify for one and press enter, and it scallops the corners for me. And I can change the thickness of the border, or the outline, or the width of the outline, by simply selecting a figure here. So if I make it 10, you can see the outline of the our shape is much thicker. I can change the color of the outline by right-clicking the color I want. So if I want a red outline, I just right-click red. Oops, sorry. Before doing that, I need to select my object. Yeah, and then I right-click. Then it changes. And I can do that with as many colors as I want, or any color that I want. And to change the fill of the space within the object, I do the left click. So with the left click, it changes the color, the fill color. So that's with the rectangle object. We also spoke about the ellipse, and it works just like the rectangle object. We click and drag to create an ellipse or a circle. If we want a perfect circle, we press the Control key. And if we want it centered around the starting point, we press the Shift key. And we can see how it changes without the Shift now and with the Shift. And if we want a perfect circle centered from the starting point, we press both Control and Shift. And similarly, we can change the width of the outline and fill it with color by left clicking, changing the outline color by right clicking, and we have our shape. Then we talked about the line tool, and with the line we only handle two types. We handle the freehand tool and the pen tool. And we said with the freehand, you can just draw on a working environment or space, and it gives you the shape you want. You could also use that to draw a straight line by clicking one point and clicking the other, then it gives you a straight line. And if you want it perfectly horizontal or at specific angles, you, after your first click, you press Control, and it gives you a straight horizontal line, or with Control again, a vertical line, or with Control, you can have specific angles for that line. And we said the difference between this type of line drawn with the freehand tool and the pen is that with the pen, when you click once and you click the next point, it doesn't end there. It allows you to create another line, continuing from the end of the first line, and it keeps going until you press Escape or Space. Then it stops drawing. So that's a major difference between the pen tool and the freehand tool. The other difference is that with the pen tool, you cannot just draw any random shape you want. It only draws straight lines or curves. And if you want to draw curves with the pen tool, you first start off by clicking and dragging, and it creates these arrows that help you to adjust the shape of the curve. So I clicked and dragged the first time, and then I click again and drag the second time, and you can see how it's affecting the shape of the curve. And I can do that for the next point, and we can see I'm sort of drawing some sort of wave right now. And depending on which direction, the extent to which I click and drag, I may have a totally different shape. So like that, you can see I have a totally different shape. And then or something like that, and then I press Escape. So with my pick tool, I can, let me just clear up this area a bit so we see what we actually drew. So this was drawn with the pen tool, and that with the freehand tool. And you can see with the pen tool, it sort of gives you a smoother design as compared to the freehand. And similarly, we can change the color of the outline just by right clicking. But because these are just lines and not shades, we cannot fill them because they are lines. So if I left click, nothing happens. But if I right click, it changes the color of the outline. And similarly, I can change the width of the outline, so we can have a thicker line, and I can even change the type of line or the style. I can make it dotted. And for the dotted, we have different types. You can have more dots or fewer dots, dashes, and all of that. So if, let's say, you drawing a map, a direction map for someone, you could use this to do that. Then we talked about the fill tool, and the fill tool, we can find that in the toolbox. We have the interactive fill tool, and we have the eyedropper, color eyedropper. What the color eyedropper does, is that it allows you to pick color from one object to the other to ensure that they all have the same color, same tone, same everything. So I could pick this green, and you can see it's giving me the details of the green. It says grass green and the parameters there. So I click that, and automatically it switches to the fill tool, and the fill tool looks like a paint bucket. Now, if it's going to fill the contents of an object or a shape, you can see a small square at the tip of the bucket, the fill bucket. If it's going to change the color of the outline, you see the square there becomes hollow. The square next to the fill bucket becomes hollow. Then you know it's only going to affect the outline. So let's change this reddish or purple outline to green. And you can see we've done that. And with the same fill tool, we could change the inside of our object, and we can apply that here also. So that's with the eyedropper tool. And we could choose the interactive fill tool. And before you do that, I would always advise you select the object you want to work on first, and then you select the interactive fill tool. And with the interactive fill tool, it allows you to fill your object with much more or many more options. Now, we have the uniform fill, which is what we just did actually. So it fills the contents of the object or the shape with a uniform color. Now we could have a fountain fill where you have a gradient from one color to the other. Or we could have a pattern fill and bitmap fill. And a bitmap fill simply is filling the contents of the shape with an image or a picture. And then you can have a two-pattern color fill. So let's try the interactive fill to fill. We select that, and you can see it's giving us from black to white. Now we could edit, or we can edit which colors fill, and even which direction that fill, in which the fill is done by using the fill picker. Oops, the fill picker drop down. Yeah. And you can see there's so many possibilities over here, and these are preset fill styles. And there are so many of them. Now, if none of so let's select one. Let's just try one out. Let's choose a beautiful one. Okay, let's choose that one, the green one. Oops, what just happened? Let's do that again. Okay, let's choose that. Yep, that's the one we want. Why? No, doesn't seem to be working for us. I don't know why. But let's just select one of those. No, it's not working for us here. I don't know why. I'll check on that. But let's go on. So rather than just select the preset fills, we could actually edit the fill using the edit fill button, and that opens a dialog box for us. Let me move my object. Oops, I can't. Okay, so I'll just move it to the side so we can see, and you can see the details here, starting from black here all the way to white, and we could change the colors. So I just click that box, and then I select from the drop down and select which color I want to start from. So let's say I want to start from that, and you can see immediately it's changed. And I want it to end with a, let's say, a blue, which is not a really pleasant color color mix to have, but that's what we chose, and we have that. Now you can fill it with more colors, and if I want to add another color, I simply double click there. I can double click here too, and I can change a color at this position. So I'll make it, let's say, green, and then I make this one, let's say, yellow. So that's a fill tool, and I can say okay, and that ends it. But there are more options there. For example, we can change the blending from straight to radial or circular or elliptical. And once I click that, you can see how it's changed, although with the same combination of colors, but instead of starting from one side or one end of the box to the other, it's it does it radially. And similarly, I could choose a sort of rectangular or square pattern for that fill. And I could choose a conical pattern, so it looks more like a cone. So it starts from red here and then goes around and ends with blue. So that's the interactive fill tool, and it can be very useful for various purposes. So now we come to the last tool, which is the text tool. And let me clear this work area. I'll delete a few of the items we have. And remember, I said we can see all the objects in our working environment from the object manager. And we can see, when we select this rectangle, it corresponds to that. You can see it has the nodes around it showing that it's been selected. And that line is that. So I could delete the object from here just by selecting and then clicking the delete button down here. Or I could just select and press delete on my keyboard. That also works. Or select. So to use the text tool, we simply click that, and there are two things we can do, or two ways to use it. We could create a text box by clicking and dragging, and in this case, it's going to try to fit everything we type within the boundaries of the square. So let's say I'm typing something, but you can see that we've run out of space, and suddenly you can realize that the node down here has a little arrow in it, or a little triangle in it, and that tells us that there's more text down there. So I can click and drag and it shows that text. So that's one way of using the text tool. Another way is simply to click and start typing, and in this case it keeps going and going and going. It could go off your sheet, and the only way to come back to the starting point is to press the enter key, and then you continue down here. So whichever you are more comfortable with, you are free to use that. Now the thing with this type, the click and type approach, is okay. Salim, can you mute the? Yeah. Thank you. So the thing with the click and type approach is that once you clear everything or you delete the text, the object disappears, and you can see from the object manager. Let's do that again. So when I click and start typing, you see it's created artistic text object blah blah blah. Now when I delete that and I change to my pick tool, it disappears. However, with the text box or the paragraph text, when I delete the content and go back, it still keeps the object there for me, so I can type other things in there. We can change the font of the font style or font type for our text. Several ways. We could highlight the text, and change the font type, or we could, after typing everything, we could simply select the paragraph text and change the font style, and that works. And even the font size, we could do that, make it really tiny, and that works. And just as with most text editing tools like Microsoft Word and so on, you could make it bold, underline, italic, or change the text alignment. So you could align to the left, right, center, or justify it. And you could also apply bullets to the text. Now, one thing with the paragraph text is if you drag the nodes, it doesn't affect the size of the text. It simply increases the size of the box so you could fit in more text. However, with the artistic text, which you get by just clicking and typing, if after typing you grab the nodes and expand it, you would increase the size, or it changes the size of the text. So that's another thing to bear in mind, depending on what you want to do. But just as with the paragraph text, you can just click, select it, and change the font if you want. And you could look for impact. Okay. So I have that. And in order to change the color of the text, there are two things. Now, texts are like shapes. They have an outline and a fill. So to change the color of the fill, you simply left click, as we did with other objects, and that changes the fill. So I have it with light yellow now, or banana yellow. Now to change the outline, by default, texts do not come with an outline. The outline is sort of transparent. But if we want to add an outline, we right click the color we want. So I want deep navy blue to be the outline of this text. So I right click that, and you can see it's giving it an outline. So that's one difference between, yeah. So they behave just like other shapes. Now I could take off the outline by clicking that to remove the color. And similarly, I could give it an outline and remove the fill color so it's transparent by left clicking that. It looks white here because the background is white, but when I move it over another object, you can see it takes the color, the fill of that. So the fill itself is transparent. It's just the outlines that we have. And this is also very useful in designing, like designing stuff. Yeah. So are there any questions? Do you have any questions?
None so far. But I don't know the house. This thing kept breaking, so what I would do is that the audio all kept reconnecting.
Oh, yeah.
On my side.
Yeah.
I will get when you put the recording.
Yeah.
And
you can
listen. I will listen to this thing.
Yes. Exactly.
And then questions. I'll bring it. I'll PM you.
Okay. That's good. So yeah, watch the video and try your hands at it. Try your hands with the fonts. Fonts are really effective.
Sure.
Yeah. So are there any other questions? No, it's not me. I don't know who's.
Oh, okay.
Whose device?
Oh, Sharif. Oh,
yeah, Sharif is. Siraj, one of. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Siraj.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. So I think we can stop here for today.
Sure.
Let's practice the fonts. Let's practice the shapes, and let's try to do the exercise. Where is that?
Okay.
Yeah, exercise 1+1. Let's try to do this. It's very easy if you think about it. Let me check out the guidelines. This is simply a line, a dotted line, with an outline width of 10 pixels. Same with the one down here, and that's just text.
Okay.
Text added. Arial black 16 points. That's it. So it's as simple as that. And the background is a square. So as I showed you how to use the eyedropper tool, you could use that to pick the exact shade of green from what I posted and use that. I think there's one last thing I didn't show you, which is how to align it to the center, but don't worry about that now. We'll handle that in subsequent classes. So at least if you're able to get these elements, the 4 or 3 elements, I think you'll be good. The square, the lines, dotted lines, and the text. So yeah. So feel free to share your works on the group chat, and we'll see. Yeah, and you're also free to use other colors that you think would make it look more beautiful. Okay, so barring any other questions, I think we'll stop now and continue next week. Okay, thank you for your time, and inshallah, next week it is. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yeah, hello.
Yeah. How soon will you upload into this in the recorded session?
Oh, it's over. Probably the audio went off again. Hello, can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Looks like you can't hear me. Hello, can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me? Oh, well, you can't. No problem.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. What I was trying to ask you on the chat.
On the chat, yeah, how soon it will be online?
Okay.
It should be up in about 2 to 3 hours.
Sure.
Usually, the Join Me guys will send me a link when the video is ready, and usually it will take probably 2 to 3 hours. So immediately they do that, I get the email, I'll upload it. Inshallah.
Okay, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Thank you very much, yeah.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah. when I'm able to go through that one, whatever questions I'll drop it on the group chat.
On the group chat, inshallah. Inshallah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you too.